Welcome back to Talk Tickers, the show where we help you understand what really matters from earnings calls. And today we're diving into Octa's Q3 2025 performance. And let me tell you, things got interesting.
They sure did. We've got charts showing the stock's after-hours action news articles, breaking down the results, and we even pulled some choice bits from the call transcript itself. So yeah, we're going to figure out what it all means for you, the investor.
Octa, for anyone who's maybe not familiar, they are a leader in the whole identity and access management space.
Yeah.
Basically, they're the gatekeepers of the digital world. They decide who gets in and what they can do once they're there. So the big question is, what happened after the closing bell that sent their stocks soaring over 15%?
Well, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was Octa's emphasis on partnerships. They've been talking a lot about collaboration, and it's clearly paying off. All of their top 10 deals this quarter involved a partner.
That's pretty impressive. But what does that really mean for someone thinking about investing in Octa?
I think it shows that they're not just selling a product. They're building an ecosystem. Each of those top 10 deals brought in over $1 million in annual contract value. So that's the yearly revenue from those contracts. And it totals about $20 million overall. A strong partner network like that can lead to more deals, bigger deals, and ultimately stronger revenue growth.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they're tapping into a whole new pool of customers through these partnerships. And speaking of customer pools, there's one sector in particular that seems to be really loving Octa right now.
You're talking about the public sector, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Half of those top 10 deals, a cool $10 million worth, came from the U.S. federal government. They scored a big win with the Department of Defense and another with the largest federal healthcare provider.
Wow, talk about a vote of confidence. Cybersecurity is top of mind for everyone these days, especially the government. But it's not just partnerships and government contracts driving Octa's success. They're also seeing some serious momentum with their new products.
Oh, absolutely. About 15% of their new bookings this quarter came from new products, which is always a good sign for future growth. This includes things like Octa Identity Governance, Octa Privileged Access and Identity Threat Protection, all tools that help organizations manage and secure who has access to what.
So they're not just sitting back and relaxing with their existing products. They're actively innovating and expanding their offerings. And it sounds like those new products are resonating with customers.
They are, and that's definitely contributing to another positive trend. Octa's profitability. They completely blew past their initial operating margin guidance for fiscal year 2025 by a full 5 percentage points.
Hold on. For those of us who maybe aren't financial experts, could you explain what operating margin means and why we should care?
Sure. Operating margin basically tells you how much profit a company makes on each dollar of sales after paying for operating expenses, like salaries and rent. A higher operating margin means they're keeping more of their revenue as profit. Octa is now aiming for at least a 22% operating margin for both fiscal 2025 and 2026.
Okay, so they're getting more efficient with their spending and keeping more of the money they bring in. That's good news for investors who are looking for a company that can grow sustainably and profitably. But it's not all sunshine and roses, right? There were some areas where Octa's performance was a bit less stellar.
Yeah, you're right. While they're doing really well with upsells and cross-sells to their current customers, new customer acquisition was a bit slower than expected. They only added 150 new logos. That's company names added to their client list quarter over quarter.
That is a little concerning. What's the explanation for that slowdown?
Octa pointed to the current economic climate. Companies are being more cautious with their spending, especially on software. And that's leading to lower seat and monthly active user assumptions. Basically, they're forecasting fewer new users coming on board.
Makes sense. But is the macro environment the whole story?
Yeah.
Are there other factors that could be contributing to the slowdown in new customer acquisition?
Well, one thing that really jumped out at me was Octa's CEO, Todd McKinnon. He was talking about the importance of neutrality in the identity market. He's basically betting that customers are going to start getting nervous about vendor lock-in, especially when it comes to security.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nobody wants to feel stuck with one vendor, especially if a better option comes along or their needs change. So how is Octa planning to take advantage of this trend and attract those customers who really value flexibility?
They're shifting to what they're calling go-to-market specialization. So instead of using a one-size-fits-all approach to sales, they're really tailoring their strategies to different types of customers and their specific needs.
So less of a broad pitch and more about targeted solutions.
Exactly. They talked about having dedicated sales reps just for Octa, which is their developer-focused platform, and separate teams for the broader suite of Octa products. That way they can really understand each customer's challenges and offer solutions that are actually relevant.
Okay, I see the logic there. But how does specialization translate into faster growth and ultimately more profits for Okta?
Well, it all comes down to maximizing productivity. Specialized sales teams become experts in their areas. They can close deals faster and more efficiently, and that leads to higher sales overall and, in the long run, increased profitability.
Makes sense. It's like having a team of specialists instead of general practitioners. They can dive deeper into specific needs and offer those more relevant solutions. But Okta is not the only player in this game. How do they stack up against the competition?
Well, Okta's leadership seemed pretty confident about their advantages. First, they have scale. They're already a major player in the identity market with a huge customer base and a proven track record.
So they've got name recognition and a good reputation working for them. What else sets them apart?
Innovation. They're constantly rolling out new products. Like we talked about earlier, identity governance, privileged access, identity threat protection. All these things keep them ahead of the curve and give customers good reasons to choose Okta over their competitors.
So they're staying agile and responding to the constantly changing security landscape. But we can't ignore the elephant in the room. Last year's security incident. How is that lingering in the minds of customers? And has it had any impact on Okta's performance?
That's the million-dollar question. Okta says they haven't seen any measurable financial impact from the incident this quarter. They've even removed the extra cautious language in their guidance that was related to the incident.
So they're basically saying they've moved on.
That's the message they're sending. But actions speak louder than words, and rebuilding trust takes time. So investors are going to be watching closely to see if Okta can really win back everyone's confidence.
For sure. So for investors who are keeping an eye on Okta, what are the key things to watch for in the coming quarters? What will show us whether they're really back on track?
There are a few key indicators. First, how well is this new go-to-market specialization strategy working? Does it actually translate into faster growth and better sales productivity?
Right. We need to see if their targeted approach is actually resonating with customers and leading to real results. What else?
How well are they integrating those new products into their sales process? Are they seeing good adoption rates? And are those new products actually driving upsells and cross-sells?
Yeah, it's one thing to develop innovative products, but it's another to actually sell them effectively and integrate them into those existing customer workflows.
Exactly. And finally, keep a close eye on new logo growth. Can they break out of this slow pace and start attracting new customers more quickly?
That's the real key to long-term growth potential. If they
Wow.
can demonstrate consistent new customer acquisition alongside all their existing strengths, that's going to be a really positive sign. But now, let's move on to the part of the show everyone's been waiting for, our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
This is where we get to throw out a wild, but not totally impossible trade idea based on what we've learned from Okta's earnings call.
Hit me with it. What's your crazy but plausible play?
Remember all that talk about Okta's success with the public sector? Especially that big win with the Department of Defense?
Oh, yeah. It sounds like they're becoming the go-to choice for government cybersecurity.
Exactly. Now imagine a scenario where there's a major cybersecurity incident, like a massive attack on critical infrastructure, power grids, financial systems, the whole shebang.
Okay, now we're talking a real Cyber 9/11 situation.
In that kind of event, demand for Okta's products would absolutely explode.
Yeah.
Organizations, both public and private, would be scrambling to beef up their defenses, and Okta would be perfectly positioned to benefit from that heightened awareness and urgency.
So a surge in demand driven by fear and necessity, leading to a potential spike in Okta's stock price.
Precisely. Of course, this is all speculation. Cyber attacks are unpredictable, and there's no guarantee it would play out exactly like that.
Right. This is all hypothetical. But it's an interesting thought experiment. It highlights the potential upside in a world where cybersecurity is only becoming more and more critical.
For sure. So to sum it all up, Okta is showing a lot of strength. Key areas, like winning those big enterprise customers, getting people excited about their new products, and keeping their profits healthy.
But they've got some work to do when it comes to attracting new customers.
Exactly. Keep a close eye on how their new go-to-market specialization strategy performs and whether it actually helps them boost customer acquisition.
And of course, as always, do your own research and don't base any investment decisions solely on our wild speculation.
Couldn't agree more.
Right.
Until next time, folks, stay informed, stay secure, and happy investing.
Yeah, it really is kind of wild how one big event, like a cyber attack, could totally change everything, and suddenly everyone needs a company like Okta. It shows how important cybersecurity is becoming in a world that's so connected.
For sure. And it's not just about reacting when something bad happens. It's about planning ahead and building really strong security systems right from the start. That's where Okta's idea of neutrality could be a big advantage for them. By offering solutions that work with all kinds of different platforms and technologies, they can attract customers who don't want to put all their eggs in one basket.
Right. It's like the Switzerland of cybersecurity, neutral, reliable, works with everything. That can be a powerful message, especially with all the worry about vendor lock-in these days.
Exactly. And this approach fits right in with what we're seeing in the tech world as a whole.
Yeah.
A move towards open standards collaboration and making sure things work together. Okta is putting themselves at the front of this movement, which could really pay off for them in the future.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. As companies rely more and more on cloud computing, data sharing, and all these interconnected systems, the need for secure and adaptable identity solutions is only going to grow. And Okta, with its focus on neutrality and innovation, seems like they're in a good position to take advantage of this growing market.
Absolutely. They're not just selling a product, they're selling peace of mind. In a world where cyber threats are constantly evolving, Okta is offering a solution that adapts and grows with those threats. It gives businesses and organizations of all sizes a sense of security and stability.
Well said. So to wrap up our deep dive into Okta's Q3 2025 earnings call, it seems like they're showing strength in a lot of key areas, getting those big enterprise customers on board, getting people excited about their new products, and maintaining healthy profits.
Definitely. But growing that list of new customers remains a challenge. Investors will be watching to see if their new go-to-market strategy can really accelerate customer acquisition.
Absolutely. As always, folks, keep in mind that this is just our analysis of Okta's earnings call. It's not financial advice. Do your own research. Think about your own investment goals and how much risk you're comfortable with. And talk to a financial advisor before you make any investment decisions.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, the world of cybersecurity is always changing. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and until next time, happy investing.